Good morning and welcome. My name is Brenda Meller, and I am the host of this show. Like to call this Enthusiastically Self-Employed, and where we bring you business marketing and LinkedIn tips if you are self-employed as a coach, consultant, speaker, and or author. And I am delighted to see all of you in the audience there today. If you are watching this, if you could do me a favor, drop a comment below and just let me know where you're watching from, or you could just say good morning. Whenever I see a live, Vicki, I always go into the comments and I'll say hello from Metro Detroit. And, sometimes I see other people from Metro Detroit like, hey, Brenda's on. So it's kind of a fun thing. I'm on with me today, a very special guest, Vicki O'Neill. Hey, Vicki, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you doing, Brenda?
I am doing good. I'm really looking forward to this chat. Before we get started, though, this is kind of like in the pre-pandemic days, and even now we're doing these back in person. We would kind of tap the mic and we would say, is this thing on? And the comments let us know that the live stream is picking up. Every once in a while, I do have a little hiccup with StreamYard where it'll broadcast out. And then like today, I get an error message saying Facebook is not like the Facebook stream is not working. The baton between StreamYard and Facebook is continually being dropped, and I don't know what's happening. But my main audience is actually coming from LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you're watching on either of those two platforms, I would love it if you could drop a comment. And I see the comments are starting to come in. So thank you guys. I see Saruba is watching with us. We see Jim. We see some folks that say LinkedIn user, Vicki, and that means their privacy settings aren't set up. I'll drop a link in chat in a little bit to help them with that. But I'm going to bring some of their comments up on screen. And while I'm bringing those up, Vicki, I know you and I have crossed paths many times virtually. And we actually, last week, we both did a video DM back and forth to each other, which is related to the topic. It was kind of funny. Like I was walking my dog, you did a video back to me and you were, I think, in your pajamas. It's, it was a very much like, oh my God, my friend Vicki. And, it was a very personal thing. But I know you from LinkedIn, and I know you as kind of the video person. Why don't you take a minute to tell us a little bit about you? Who are you? What do you do? And who do you help? And what do you help them with, if you could?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And in that video DM, I was not camera ready.
I was like, she's like me. She does the thing I do.
Sometimes it's okay, right?
Absolutely. Know your audience.
I'm Vicki O'Neill. I've been in the marketing and sales area for over 20 years. And a lot of that experience has been with different corporations. But I did start my business, Ken K Marketing, in 2011 and really started focusing in on it in 2019. And 2019, 2020 is when I decided to really hone in on video because I saw an opportunity. And as many people here, if anybody wants to kind of comment like their comfort level with video, it ranges. Some people are just like, I hate it. Some people are like, I love it. But I really saw an opportunity to help people get more comfortable on camera so that they could show up in video format, which is a great way to just better connect with people and engage with them. People can get to know you. It's almost like secondary to being in person. And it's just a great way to like get your brand out there, differentiate yourself, and really show your personality as well. So I help people get comfortable on camera, create a video strategy. And within the last 6 to 9 months, I've been focusing more on short form video, which is like your TikTok, your Instagram Reels, your YouTube Shorts, which is where most attention is going these days. So you got to go where the attention is and then just develop a strategy that's going to be effective and help people be present, whether it's on LinkedIn or other places, be present as much as possible and the most effectively as possible.
That's awesome. I'm thinking of so many questions I'm going to ask Vicki right now, and I want to invite our audience. If you have questions, you can drop them into chat. You don't have to wait until I say Q&A, but go ahead and drop them. I have so many questions for you, Vicki, but I'm going to let us get our conversation started first. We're here today talking about tips for using video to create your elevator pitch for the LinkedIn DMs. And I see there's almost like 3 components in there. There might be some people going, wait a minute, we can do videos in direct messages on LinkedIn. They may not even be aware of that. We'll get to that in a little bit. But, tips for using video. And you were talking about the comfort level and not everybody's comfortable with video. And I have to imagine, Vicki, that you just you've always been great on video. Like you always love video and you always love the camera and the camera loves you. Is that right? Or were you ever like some of us? Or were you always like you are now? What do you think?
No, it's funny because I was like, as a child, I was super shy. Like I didn't even like people looking at me.
Mhm.
And then even in 2011, when I published my very first video on YouTube, it was filled with so much anxiety and so much frustration. And my goal was to be perfect, right? It's just yeah, I'm going to be putting this on video. People are going to be seeing me. I mean, it took me hours and hours and hours. And it literally took me almost all day to create this 1 minute, 20-second video. And it was crazy. And over time, I realized that there's a lot of value and a lot of importance in showing up on video.
Mhm.
And I just kind of had to create that confidence to be present. And over time, with more videos, it became easier to create videos, but then also just show more of my personality. So at first, it was very hard, which is where a
Yes.
lot of people are that I start working with too. It's hard to get on camera. And then once they're on camera, really hard to let their personality show. So
So
it
it's
took some
it's
time.
normal if anyone is watching or listening to this right now, if you're thinking about you want to do more video, but you're very apprehensive and you're like, it freaks me out to think it's normal to feel that way. And what I'm hearing from you, Vicki, is
Yes.
it's time and practice and experience that's going to get you to that place of comfort. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So when I created that first video, it wasn't comfortable at all. And even like my second, third, it took me time to even build up to creating videos on a consistent basis. And it really was the practice, like you said, that consistency and just showing up. And I always like
Mhm.
to compare it to somebody who, anything in life, right? If
Mhm.
you're a professional at your job, you were not a professional at your job the very first day you started it, right? We're all terrible at everything we start the very first time because we don't know what we don't know.
Mhm.
And with time, practice, learning what works, what doesn't work, all of those things is what actually helps make that process of getting on camera and then pressing record, sharing it with people. It takes time and that is completely normal.
That's good to hear. And as you're talking, I'm sure our audience might be thinking the same thing. Like my very first job, what were the mistakes I made? I remember like one of my first internships, maybe it was my first full-time job. I had to fax a document to a client and it was like a 70-page document. There was no easy way to do it. So you had to like literally put it on the machine and like do a page at a time.
Yeah.
And it kept coming through and they're like, it's blank pages that are coming through. And I did it like 2 or 3 times. And then I realized that the paper was flipped upside instead of downside. So
We just learn, right?
I had wasted hours, like 70 pages trying to fix, but we all make mistakes and we have I like to call them learning experiences. And I
Yeah,
learned from that day forward the right way to put thing on a fax machine. And
exactly.
I'm sure it's the same way with video. You probably learn techniques as you're starting to do these types of things, right, Vicki?
Yeah, exactly. And back when I created my very first video, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was looking
Yeah.
for the perfect lighting and the perfect background, and I was trying to memorize what I was going to say. Now, granted, back in 2011, we didn't have the technology and the tools that we do today
The editing,
to,
yeah.
yeah, like
Mhm.
CapCut, to edit your own
Right?
videos, that kind of thing. We didn't have those back then. So I was just like, I've got this one opportunity. I'm not sending a video that's a minute long to an editor to like, chop the beginning and ending. So it really was something that I had to practice and get better at. And we're so lucky today that if people aren't, on video today, you can have different apps or different, even on your phone, have a teleprompter or at least write out what you want, start and stop it. There's so many different
Mhm.
ways to make video easier today than it
Mhm.
was back then that it really is just a matter of getting comfortable on camera and you don't have to publish your videos, right?
Right.
You can create a video and just delete it, at least
You
going
can
through
look
the
at it. You can
process.
look at it
Yeah.
yourself and look at it 30 times and then delete it out. And
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
looking down at my phone just now. I don't know if everyone saw this, but I was looking down because I'm like, is it CAPCUT or CKAP? But it's CapCut, CAPCUT. You
Yeah.
got me turned down to CapCut. Prior to this, I was using Clips. I'm an iPhone user, and I found
Mhm.
like Clips is like video editing 1.0, CapCut is like 5.0. I mean, there's so many, but I think I got comfortable using Clips first before moving over to that. But I want to get into the topics right now. I know that you have some specific tips that you're going to be sharing with us about using video to create your elevator pitch for LinkedIn DM. So,
Yes.
what advice do you have for us today, Vicki?
Well, it first off is a great way to like really get to know people. So I like to tell people that using a video in the DMs is just like going to an in-person event and just
Mhm.
thinking through like if you were to go to an in-person event and introduce yourself to somebody completely new, you're not going to be like have your back to them or have something in front of you where you're going to be off camera, right? You're going to be in
Right.
person. You're going to show up, put your hand out. Hi, I'm Vicki. Um, and you're going to talk through just very high level, like who you are, and then think through the questions that people are going to ask and be like, what do you do? So
Mhm.
in your video, that you're going to send as like your elevator pitch, that's something that you can do that you can get all of the points across that you need to at a very high level, of course, in
Mhm.
less than 60 seconds. And that would be like, hi, I'm Vicki O'Neill. Here's your title. Here's who I serve. Here's what I do, and then even end it with, here's something personal about me. I love movies, I love running, and then your call to action. And that could be something as simple as, saying, like, what's your favorite movie? If that's the
Mhm.
type of thing I think is going to get the conversation continued or at least get some engagement. Or if I want to keep it professional, it could be like, what's your favorite thing about being on LinkedIn?
Mm. So you're
So
asking them in a question in the video in
yeah.
to invite them to respond back to you is what you're looking for.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you could just send it if you don't want to ask a question. But here's the thing I've learned again
Mhm.
over time and with practice is that if I don't ask a question, they may not engage with me. They may
Right.
watch the video and be like, okay, cool.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly. So the
Mhm.
point of that, just like if you're at an in-person event, is to engage in conversation so that you can get to know that person as well. Now, they don't have to respond in a video,
Mhm.
but, the point of doing that is to kind of engage and get to know each other a little bit more and see if it makes sense to continue the conversation.
Okay. So a couple questions are popping up for me as you're talking through this
Okay.
right now. First, I want to, elevator pitch. I know everybody's probably aware, but there may be one or two people that are like, what is an elevator pitch? So I always like to like, let's assume someone on here is listening and they're like, they don't know what that means. And I don't want to lose them throughout the conversation. So
Yeah.
Vicki, in your own words, what is an elevator pitch?
An elevator pitch is a very high level overview of who you are, what you do, and how you can help the people in your audience. So it's
Okay.
keeping it super simple. You're not diving deep into all the details of your work history and, your life history and all of that. And it's just getting those points across so that you can create an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody.
Okay. And why do we call it an elevator pitch?
So it started, I looked this up at one point because I was curious, like, why do we call it an elevator pitch?
Right.
It was actually created a long time ago when I think it was a building was actually being like created. And there was
Hmm.
somebody who wanted to have a conversation with, somebody going up to a higher level. And they decided to, talk with them in that very moment of taking the elevator up to a higher floor. And
Hmm.
during that process, it became more associated with an elevator pitch.
Hmm.
And I was just like, okay, well, it's kind of relevant to like how we interpret it today.
Sure.
But the point is that, if you're going to step on the ground floor with the CEO or whoever the person is that you want to connect with, and you're going to go up to even the top floor, like what does that conversation look like that you can actually accomplish what you want to with that person during that
Hmm.
short amount of time?
Okay, great. I love that. And yeah, I think a lot of people are like, what does that even mean? Like some of us may live in areas where we haven't had an elevator ride that's 60 seconds long
Yeah.
too. I mean, I always like to assume that we're not aware of what that is. So were you tips for using video to create your elevator pitch for LinkedIn DM? So let's talk a little bit about video in LinkedIn DMs, LinkedIn direct messages. We can do that? That's a thing?
We can. Yes, we can do it. You can actually create videos inside the app itself. So if you're actually in a direct message with an individual person, you can
Mhm.
create a video while you're in that conversation. An elevator pitch, though, I recommend just so that you're not constantly repeating yourself, is
Mhm.
to create your pitch and then house it someplace on like YouTube as unlisted, or put it on Google Docs or Vimeo or wherever you want to put it, and then have that link available so that when you start to connect with people, you can share the link to the video, and then the message is the same for each person.
Okay. So
So
you're saying put a link in there. Now, the other day when you and I were DMing, I don't know if did I do a video? I think I
yeah,
did. And then you responded with a video, or maybe you did
yeah,
a video and I responded with a video. I can't remember which it was. I was walking my dog and you were in your jammies. I remember that.
yeah,
But that was actually like a video that we recorded on our phones and then
yeah.
we uploaded into there, which it wasn't a link to something. So we can do both. And is there a rhyme or reason for which version that you send out?
It depends on how much you want to personalize it. So if you're like starting to connect with a bunch of people and your message is going to be the same, then I would say create one video, house it someplace else, and then use the link so that
Okay.
you're not constantly recreating videos, for each
Mhm.
person. Now, if you want to create a more personal touch to that video, then I would say, yeah, go ahead and create the video in that direct message like you and I were.
Right,
You're in the
right.
direct message, press record, create a video, and then it goes directly to that person. I will
Mhm.
tell people though that you're limited on time. You've
Mhm.
got like a 2-minute limit if you're going to create
Which
a
is good
video,
because an
which is
elevator
fine.
pitch should be
Yeah,
60 seconds, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But if you're
Okay.
going to personalize it and you're not paying attention to the clock, once you get to that 2-minute mark, you don't
Mhm.
get what's there and keep it. It
Yeah.
just stops it all together
It
and you have to start
stops.
over. Yeah,
It's like you're cut off. It's like
exactly.
the
Get
Grammys when they
deleted.
start playing the music and they turn your mic off and you're
Yeah.
done. You're booed off stage.
Yeah.
Now I have to think about within this whole conversation. I mean, there's we're here talking about tips for using video to create your elevator pitch in the DMs, and we've talked about what is the elevator pitch, and the fact that we can do videos and direct messages on LinkedIn. I feel like, Vicki, there's this whole other underlayer of the psychology of using video, and at what point in the conversation is it immediately right after I connect with you? Is it before you've indicated any interest in learning more about me and my business? Do you wait for cues on this? And I just have so many questions on this. So at what point do you recommend that we start using video, and then do we use it for everyone, or what is the case basis that you start to use a video message back to a person?
Yeah, that's a great question or great questions because I was thinking of that this morning. I'm like, we probably don't want to send a video or a elevator pitch to every single person.
Okay.
I actually did that at first. I was just like, oh, new connections, sending videos, and like people were either not watching them or they're kind of like, I don't know what she's doing,
Right. Hmm.
and like they weren't engaging. And I'm like, okay, good point. They don't know me from anything. All they did
Right.
was they connected.
Hmm.
That may not have been the best opportunity. So I would say maybe don't do it on the very first connection. If you're the one who's sending the message and trying to connect with somebody, I wouldn't use your elevator pitch as your introduction.
Right.
I would wait for that person to respond. But following your practices, personalize your invites.
There you go.
And if that person responds and they're not just accepting it and ignoring your message, they respond and, with a message as well, then depending on how that conversation's going, I would say that might be the opportunity to go ahead and share the video with them. But I would wait to see their response. I did this, it was a few weeks ago. I sent a video to somebody
Mhm.
and he literally was just like, thanks. He didn't even do a capital T. There was no punctuation or anything. And I was just like, so you're not going to be somebody I'm going to send a video to
No,
because you're
that was it. I
obviously,
think we're done here.
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that one.
Yeah.
So I think
Okay.
you just kind of have to pay attention to, the responsiveness of the other person.
Yeah.
Um, but because it's an introduction, just again, I always say, think of it as if you're in an in-person event.
Hmm.
Are you going to wait until the event's over and then start going and introducing yourself to people? Or,
Sure.
do you want to leverage that relationship and get to know people, on a deeper level, early on so that you can see if there's an opportunity to work together, collaborate, have them as a guest on your show?
Hmm. There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Okay.
it just creates that opportunity to really develop the relationship
Hmm.
and kind of get to know people on a more personal level, and
Hmm.
just really better understand who they are. And what's interesting is that there are some people that if you share your video with them, then they will do the same thing. So like you did, you're just like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to send Vicki a video. And I was just like, oh, all right, I can do this. I'm not camera ready. I'm in my pajamas, but
I
it doesn't
loved it. I
matter.
was like, I kind of like, we are at this certain level of comfort with each other. And I'm like, I'm literally out with my dog. And I think it was a colder day too. So I was probably like all bundled up, hat and everything on the
Yeah.
top. Um, but since we're talking about LinkedIn DMs in our video, I'm like, I'm going to do a video, but I should probably know if I'm interviewing my guest how to do. And I know this, Vicki, but I don't do it as often. And I'm comfortable on video. I mean, obviously I do this LinkedIn Live. I do this every week and I do webinars and, other events and things like that. I'm comfortable on video. I think about like, do I feel comfortable receiving video messages from people? Like you're somebody I feel comfortable receiving them from, but I'll
Yeah.
be honest, Vicki, sometimes I get these video messages where they're holding up like an iPad and it says, "Hi, Brenda." And everything in the video is it looks like it was pre-recorded and then they superimposed "Hi, Brenda" on the iPad that they're holding up. And I kind of feel like it's gimmicky.
Yeah.
And then it feels like we're not off on the right foot for that professional relationship building. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great point because I've had other people say that same thing, that there are third-party apps out there
Mhm.
that you can invest in, and they will do that. They will take a pre-recorded video just like that. And it's interesting that you notice that too. So
Yeah.
I think that's important for people who are watching to know as well, that if you consider that, purchasing a third-party app and actually going down that path, that the people you're sending that video to are more than likely going to know that it's not really personalized.
Right.
It's the same message for every person, and that you're imposing that person's name, at the very beginning to make it seem like it's personalized.
Right.
So I would just say it, obviously it's up to you, but my
Right.
personal opinion is you can create videos without investing in those resources.
Yeah.
If you want to personalize a video for, a select group of people, then maybe
Mhm.
you don't want to use that same elevator pitch that you're sending to other individuals. You may want to say, "Hey Brenda, it's Vicki. I know we connected a while ago," and personalize it that way. So it depends on kind of where you are, who you're talking to. And then, it could also depend on how engaged they are with LinkedIn. If it's somebody who hasn't posted anything in a long time, you're reaching out to them to connect. They probably either aren't going to see your message for a while, or they're not going to see a video or watch it. So, there's a lot of variables that you kind of have to, like a checklist that you kind of have to go through to say, does it make sense at this
Yeah.
time?
That's
Yeah.
good. There's a lot of tips here. I mean, there's so many things that are coming through here. And yeah, I think there's a lot of
Mhm.
those software and apps and things out there. And I have to say that I was trained by, some really good IT people when I was in my corporate career. I'm self-employed now, but when I was in my corporate career, I was always trained never to open an attachment from someone that I don't know.
Mhm.
And, sometimes I'll get people that will be messaging me and it'll be an attachment, like a PDF or a link to a website, and it'll be like a bit.ly link. I'm like, I don't click on link. And I'll tell them, I've just met you. I don't click on links from people that I don't know. So in that case, is it better to do like an MP4 upload versus sending them to a YouTube? Or do you feel like there's enough trust in YouTube as a name, as a platform? We could really go either route. What do you think?
You could go either route. The reason why I say YouTube is that when you create the link in there, it'll pop up and show you an image of what the video is about.
Ah, okay.
So it's really up to you. If you want to, just upload the MP4, then it might come across easy. I don't want to say easier, but less spammy, maybe
Yeah.
more personalized if you do it that way versus send a link.
Hmm.
And again, if you're somebody who's like connecting all the time and you want to be having a lot of conversations,
Hmm.
it just depends on your preference. If you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, it might be a good opportunity to share a link
True.
to YouTube and say, "Hey, subscribe to my YouTube channel while you're out here."
Yeah.
So again, it just depends, but I would just go with whatever's the easiest for you based on what you're trying to accomplish.
You just gave me a really good idea too. I've got Sales Navigator, which is one of the premium offerings of LinkedIn, which allows me to use an away message that you can. It's like an out of office. So if you
Mhm.
message me as a first level connection, it sends you a message back. I've never thought about doing this, but you just made me think I could use like a LinkedIn tip video on my YouTube channel and ask them, hey, here's a tip for you while you're there. Give my channel a subscribe and a like. You just gave me
Exactly.
some really great ideas. So I'm going to shift our gears a little bit here, and I want to invite our audience in to ask questions. I've had so many questions so far. I have more questions, so if we don't get any, I'll
Love
ask
it.
more of mine. But I want to see
I
if our
love it.
audience is aware of anything. Audra says, I hadn't even realized this. This is a really good thing. I used to call it, it's like sometimes when we're on StreamYard and get really tall comments, we'd have to look over. I used to call it like Wilson from the Home Improvement, where we'd have to like sit up. But
Oh, yeah.
Audra's saying we're doing the Brady Bunch, where we're like looking at the comments up and down in the video.
Yeah, over here and up.
Good observation. Let's see here. So I'm curious, and Brian is mentioning AI. We're hearing a lot of conversations lately about AI and Chat GPT and things like that. And Brian makes a great point. You still need to personalize the message and content. Any thoughts to add on that, Vicki?
Yeah, I would. The purpose of the elevator pitch is, that would be the same, like if you're an in-person event, it'd be the same message for the most part for each person.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's an opportunity for somebody that you're really trying to capture their attention, I would do a separate video. You can still have a similar message to it, but saying their name, like, "Hey, Brenda, it's Vicki," and even if the message is the same, at least personalizing it to a certain extent is going to help just really create that connection earlier on, and then help with continuing the conversation beyond that too. So personalize when you can, but again, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, if you're connecting with a bunch of people, it's not going to be possible to personalize every single video, unless you're a video guru. Then I'm like, hey, more power to you.
Yeah, there you go. Good point. And I would think quality over quantity, Vicki. I mean, do you agree with that
Always.
approach? Or, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that are like using that spray and pray approach with selling and pitching. And if I send it to 100 people and I get 5 responses, great, I've got 5 responses. Wouldn't you rather send it to 10 people and get 5 responses? I would think, but,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. And it's not the elevator pitch video is not for every connection either. So I think you need to pick and choose. If I get a random connection from somebody with a sales pitch, I'm not sending them a video.
Yeah.
Or if I get a connection request from somebody, in a country that I don't speak their language, like I'm not going to send them a video.
Yes.
So it's really like, is this my ideal customer that I'm wanting to work with? And is there an opportunity to have an actual conversation that's going to be helpful for both of us?
Yeah.
That might be an opportunity to send them the video.
Good points. I like that. And I see we're joined over the pond
John,
by John Aspire. And I had to give a shout out to John. Thank you so much for joining, John. John's one
thanks
of the
for
people
being
that he knows my show is always
here.
it's on Tuesdays. Mine time it's 9:05. I think he might be 6 hours ahead if I'm not mistaken. But I think he knows in his head like when the time is. But it's great to see you in the audience there. And I agree, John. Vicki is fab on video, and I'm delighted to have this conversation with her. I think, Vicki, didn't we start this conversation where I had put out like a post? I'm like, I'm trying to get better on YouTube. Can you look at my channel? Wasn't that
Yeah.
you had responded back with like a
Yeah.
video? You did like a high level audit of my channel. You gave me some
Yeah.
pointers. And then I said, in exchange, I'll look at your profile and I'll give you some LinkedIn tips. And
You
we kind
gave
of
me
went back.
so much value. I was just like, what? She just
Yeah.
helped me with all these different things.
Isn't it funny how in like you think about the area of expertise, like what category you're deep in knowledge? For me, it's LinkedIn. I dabble in YouTube. And for you, you're like video and YouTube, and I dabble in LinkedIn. And it was kind of like the peanut butter and the chocolate coming together. And we made this whole great combination of things for each other.
Yeah,
Um, I,
exactly.
I see another comment from Jim, and Jim Wolf is
Hey,
saying
Jim.
TikTok is a great place to practice and get comfortable in front of the camera. Now that's got to scare the bejesus out of some people. Like, what? Now I'm going to go on TikTok because TikTok's like the big video platform.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that type of approach, Vicki?
I would say TikTok it's obviously the latest and greatest place to be. It was the number one downloaded app in 2022. It's popular for a reason. The videos for the most part are very entertaining or very engaging. They're short for the most part as well. And you don't have to dance and lip sync. I will preface it with that because people are like, don't you have to dance or like lip sync when you're on there? I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
You can still do, like what we're doing right now, just, face to camera. You can do those types of things. I share tips and stuff like that. Jim's doing a great job on TikTok, and, he's done so much with the platform and his videos as well. So yeah, he would know if it's a great
Okay.
place to start and get comfortable, but
Good.
yeah,
We'll
it's
check
good.
that out. All right. I see a couple more comments coming in here. I want to start with Brian, who had asked the question. And he's asking, Vicki, which video software are you using? Are you using Zoom, just your phone camera? What are your thoughts there on software to use to capture the video?
So for video, I'll create video either with my phone or I will create it in one of the apps. So sometimes I'll create it in TikTok, sometimes I'll create it in Instagram. I don't think I ever really create it on YouTube. I think I've done it a few times. But what I've found with the most useful for me with one video and then putting it in different places is to record it on my phone. And then I use CapCut, like we talked about earlier. I upload it to CapCut, and then I can do light editing, like take, the beginning and ends off. If I want to add captions, it's super easy. It's just click of a couple, buttons, and then captions are added. So for me, that makes it super easy. And if I want to add effects or sound effects, all of that is included in that app. So I typically won't just record a video and be done with it, just because I like to play around with the different features and tools and technology. But for the most part, it's recording with my phone and then, uploading to the different platforms.
Okay. Good point. All right. I got a couple more in here.
All right.
This one, I love this question because we're talking about you using DMs for elevator pitches, which is really like we're trying to do selling or social selling, so to speak. So Victor Nowak has a question. As a salesperson, do you think it's okay sending a video in a cold DM before asking permission? Is it okay if I send you a video? Is it a good idea as a surprise, or should you just send it without getting permission? Thoughts there?
I would not. My recommendation is not to send a video in a cold DM. So if it's your very first interaction, you haven't had any back and forth communication with anybody, I would say not to include a video. And the reason being is kind of like what we touched on earlier in what you had said, Brenda, is that, people are just unsure of what that link or what that video might be. So it might actually keep them from engaging with you because they don't know. So I would say wait for there to be some type of back and forth conversation. And if you want to ask them if it's okay to send a video, you could. I think sometimes it's nice for people to see that you're sending them a video because it's not normal. Most people don't send videos. I think more people are starting to do the voice messages, but they're typically not creating the videos. So it could actually be a nice surprise, but as long as there's been some type of engagement and you're not trying to pitch them in that video.
Okay. Very good. And Kim had added, now we're going to have to do the Wilson, or you're going to have to do the Wilson where you have to look over the comment. Like, remember that show Home Improvement where the guy, you had to look over the fence. So right. Opening files on LinkedIn. And I've noticed this too, Kim, they're starting to give you this message when attaching files to a message from your inbox, a virus check is performed on each of the files. If any of the files are infected, the message will be sent without that file. The sender will not receive any notification about virus check results. That's good and all, Kim. And I totally get you, Kim. But I remember my IT person, his name was Joe. And he, we went through this whole security training, never click attachments from people. I don't care if LinkedIn has scanned it and LinkedIn says it's virus free. I'm still not going to click on it. And I don't put my passwords on a Post-it note under my laptop. A lot of people do that. They're like, put your passwords where they can find them. There's things that we as humans tend to do. We're like, oh, it looks like an interesting attachment. I'm going to click on it. And that could, I understand, Kim, like LinkedIn's trying to protect us, but I'm still going to look out for myself on that. And we're here today talking about tips on, I'm going to pull this topic up on screen again, because I think you've got a checklist and I want to start to move us into that part of the conversation too. It's a little bit tricky when you're doing these too, Vicki, because you're like piloting, co-piloting. You're like, where's my comment? Where's my thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Here we are.
Where is everything?
I know, right? Somebody called it the Brady Bunch effect. I'm looking down to see if the banner's loading. I'm looking over at comments. I've got a second screen where I'm watching all of your comments coming in live.
You're doing amazing. Nobody got to see you behind the scenes before we went live. And Brenda's very impressive at how she goes through everything, like setting expectations, what to say, not what to say. Here's when we're going to ask these questions and here's what we're going to do at the end. Like, it was amazing. You're amazing.
Yeah, you actually made me think about, there's things that I do and I'm like, I don't think about like, this is good, this is useful. I'm like, you just gave me a great idea. Maybe I should do a blog about like, here's the things I do in my pre-show. And it could just be like when people get on, because we got on the StreamYard at 8:55 and we go live at 9:05, but we talk for 10 minutes and I go through, I I tell people, this is my spiel. I'll go through my spiel, like all the reminders and tips and pointers. And I even said, like, Vicki, I kind of feel like I'm telling you things that you already know, or you could be telling me things because you're like the video expert. But these are the things I run through. Like I say, look
Yeah.
at the camera, and we tap the camera, and
Yeah.
I talk about the fact that it's hosted live. But let's get into you brought something with you virtually, if you will, which is tips on using video. And I'm going to pull this up on screen, and then we're going to talk about this. Give me just a second to do
All
so.
right.
And while I am pulling, is it the Vicki O'Neill EP? Is this it right here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to share my screen. So tell us, if you could, what is this that folks can watch
So
or can
it's
download,
just,
I should say. I'm trying
yeah.
to talk and do the things, and I'm doing both very poorly. Here we go. All
No,
right.
you're fine. It's a document that you can use to just kind of, it has tips that you can actually walk through for creating your, do you want me to send you the PDF?
You know what? If I download it, will I get it right now? And it'll share
Yeah.
up on screen. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to do this right now. Where are my video journey? All right. So I'm consistently creating them and not outsourcing yet. Every now and again, I do go in. Actually, it looks like I might have to go into my email and pull it up.
Oh, okay.
But I can pull it up. I think if I confirm my subscription,
I was
and
saying I can
then
actually pull it up
I'll
if you need me
share
to.
my screen. Here we go. I'll just put this into the other. Whoops. That didn't work.
While you're doing that, I actually created a elevator pitch for you.
Oh, okay.
So I can read that and just give people an idea of how it all comes together. So I thought it would be a
Sure,
good
go
thing
right
to
ahead.
do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm creating it for you. So it's hi, I'm Brenda Meller, LinkedIn coach and founder of Meller Marketing. I help executives, job seekers, the self-employed, and sales leaders get a bigger piece of the LinkedIn pie through my webinars, one-on-one coaching, team training, and my newly released Enthusiastically Self-Employed podcast. What makes me different is how I use LinkedIn and social selling savviness. On a personal note, I enjoy spending time with my family, my dog, and enjoying delicious pies while traveling. And then one of your end questions could be, what's your favorite pie? If you want to have it, make it something fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be what motivates you every day, because those personal things are the things that you had mentioned in your about section that motivate you. Or it could be, what do you struggle with the most when it comes to LinkedIn? If you want to make it LinkedIn specific. So when you ask that question, they're watching the video, and now the question's been asked, you're getting them to think. And then if they're going to want to engage in a conversation, they'll either respond with a video, they might respond with a voice message, or just in text.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So it's a way to
It feels like it was
connect.
written by me, Vicki. I mean, it feels like my voice, and you pulled a lot of things, I think, either from my bio or from my LinkedIn, and
Yeah, from
you did
your
a great job.
LinkedIn.
So I'm just going to click through here. This is a document that you've created, getting started with video on LinkedIn, and there's actually a checklist that you have in here. Keeping it short and simple, and you give us like specific instructions underneath that, describing yourself, being confident, general and distinctive, what's the best ending. And, I think if people are watching this and they download this resource, I think you should download it and you should check it out. Definitely. It's a free resource, and you can learn from Vicki, but then send Vicki a DM after you've completed it and
Yes,
show her, right, that you've done this. Really great.
exactly. That's why I was like, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the call to action. Just connect with me. Because if you want to send me a video in the DMs, you want to share your elevator pitch with me in the DMs, then send it to me. I'll give you some feedback on it.
Yeah, I love it. Do it. You all should do it. You should definitely take Vicki up on this. Kim, thank you, because it is a little bit like doing the co-piloting, piloting, navigating. Yeah, Joe, the multitasking. And I always tell people I don't make mistakes. I have learning experiences, and my learning experience from today was when my guest says I have a downloaded checklist. I should have had the PDF ready in a second window so I could like go to the landing page and then have pulled up the PDF. But
it worked out well.
It worked out well. And I walked people through it, and we had a little conversation. I have an amazing co-host guest with me here today who helped to keep things running very smoothly as we were going through on here.
We're working well together.
So I want to start to wrap up our conversation here today. And we know to go to VickiO'Neill.com/EP. That's VickiO'Neill.com/EP. And that's where we can download those video tips that we had just discussed. And I want to pull up your LinkedIn profile as well here, Vicki. And if people are interested in connecting with you, are you open to connecting with folks? And is there anything that we need to know about inviting you to connect on LinkedIn?
No, I'd love to connect with more people. So it would be great. Just let me know if you're sending me a message. Of course, personalize it, but let me
Mhm.
know that you're sending me the request because you were here watching us live, or if you're watching the replay.
Okay,
It's
awesome.
the marketer in me. I like to know. I like to know the how the pieces fit together.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And as I look at Vicki's profile right now, I'm already connected with her, so my buttons are a little bit different. But when you're looking at your view of like Vicki's profile, if you're not yet connected with her, the blue button will say follow. And I know that because she has creator mode set up because I can see the hashtags at the top of her profile. So if you want to connect with her, you've got to go under the more button. So click on the more button and you should see an option underneath that. From your view, it will say either personalized invite or connect. You always want to, click on whatever one you see in their personalized invite or connect, but add a note and mention that you saw or heard of Vicki on my show here today. And if there's something particularly helpful that you learned from her today, I think that would be great as well. And Vicki, as we start to wrap up our conversation today about tips for using video to create your elevator pitch for LinkedIn DMs, do you have any final comments you'd like to share with us?
Well, I first want to say thank you very much for having me on your show. It's been an honor to be asked, and then also to share the live stream with you. So thank you very much. And then I would just say that anybody who's been thinking about getting started with a video, before you do the elevator pitch, start creating videos. You don't have to share them with anybody, but it will take some time to get practice and get more comfortable on camera, just like with anything else. So don't allow the talking to a screen and nobody around you and you feel like you're talking to yourself awkwardness
Mhm.
keep you from actually creating videos.
Good point. And I'm going to pull up my LinkedIn app real quick because I don't know if we touched on this at all, but can we only do this from the mobile app, Vicki, or is this something we can do from desktop as well?
You can upload videos to the desktop, but you can't record the videos
Okay.
from desktop.
So right now, if I were to go into the LinkedIn app, I think okay, so I'm gonna do this right now and I'm gonna send you this video right now. I'm in the LinkedIn app on Vicky's profile. I click on message, and at the very bottom, you're gonna see like a little paperclip icon, and then it says write a message, and then you see the microphone next to that. The microphone is to send a voice message, but if we want to send a video message, we're gonna click on the paperclip, and then underneath that, we're gonna get an option that will say take a video. And like right now, I can just open my thing and I'm going to actually film. It's a little bit blurry for some reason, but there we go. I'm taking a video of us on the LinkedIn live show right now, and I'm going to send it to Vicki next in a message. And then I'm going to click on stop. And then there's a little paper click icon, paper plane, I guess, icon next to that. I click on that and that will send the video message over. So those are the steps on how to do it. We gave you some great tips on the content that's to be included today. Look at that.
It came
Inside
through.
it already came over to your phone virtually there, right? How fun. So hopefully that was helpful. If you've never done a video message and you're connected to either Vicki or myself, use us as your guinea pigs. Like test this on us. Like grab a video, send it to us real quick, and just tell us that you watched the show today and that you learned something new. We would love to see that inside there. And Vicki, as we wrap up, there may be people that are watching. They're like, "Gosh, I need to work with video because I need to work with Vicki rather because I need some help with video." We got V's on both words there.
Yeah.
So if they are interested in learning more about how to work with you, obviously we can get the checklist. But can you remind us what are the services that you offer?
So I do offer a one-on-one strategy session that would be to walk through just getting you started with creating videos. And depending on if you're, which platforms you're on, if you want to do short versus long form, live stream versus recorded, whatever it is, we can walk through that together and actually put a strategy together that you can actually start implementing at the end of that session. And that is if you go to vickioneal.com/strategy, that'll take you to that page where you can go ahead and sign up for that. I do, and I know there's some time sensitivity to this, so I'll mention it here, but knowing that it's not going to be available forever, I'm going to be doing a 4-day video challenge at the end of this month. So I'll be launching that sometime later today. I have some final pieces I need to put in place. And I'll be launching that at the end of today, but the 4-day challenge will be at the end of April. So if anybody's interested in going through and actually doing the planning, the recording, the editing, the publishing. I'm going to walk through all 4 steps during that challenge. So if you want to get started and just need a little bit of a push, then I encourage you to sign up for that when it goes live.
Awesome. Well, we will follow you on LinkedIn. And when you get that link, email it to me or message it to me, Vicki, and then I'll add it to the YouTube show notes. I'll also add it to the podcast show notes until after the series, and then I can always pop that out of there.
Okay.
And speaking of things that are time sensitive, you just made me think of something too. I'm doing a webinar that's coming up, and we were talking today about using video to create elevator pitch for LinkedIn DMs, which you might be using this process too to find leads or to generate new leads on LinkedIn. And I've got a webinar coming up. I'll just do a quick plug for it if you don't mind, Vicki. It's going to be this Friday. I'm doing it, and then I'll be repeating it on Monday. It's finding leads on LinkedIn, whether you're a coach, consultant, speaker, or author. So come on out. It's a free webinar. To register, just go to mellermarketing.com/finding leads. And you can sign up quick and easy and tell other people about it that might be interested in that topic as well. Well, Vicki, this has been such a delightful conversation. I'm glad to have had the opportunity to chat with you. Now, you're in Cincinnati, and I was out for a Together digital event not too long ago. We weren't able to sync up then, but we're not too far away. So I'm hoping at some point in the future that we'll be able to meet in person. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining me here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I'll make a trip up your way if you want to. We've got to meet in person at some point. You're not that far away.
I know it has to happen. It's not too far. Well, we'll definitely make a plan of that, Vicki. So thank you so much. Hey, and I want to just invite our audience. Did you enjoy the discussion today? Vicki and I, we work for ourselves, so we don't get performance reviews anymore. So before you leave, we'd love it if you could drop a comment and just tell us what you thought of the conversation here today. And then also, as soon as you're done watching the video, you're going to see a little share button will come up on there. Go ahead and click on share. If you have not yet done a post on LinkedIn this week, this month, this year, it's a great opportunity to just click on that video and share it out with your network. Tell people something that you learned from watching the video. Maybe it was CapCut, or maybe it was the fact that you can do video in DMs, or maybe it was different techniques for doing video, just getting started. Please share that out. Tag Vicki and myself in the comments, rather, when you're sharing that video out. Use the little @ sign when you're sharing that along, and that way we will get notified and we will definitely reply back to you. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week. Reminder, I'm out here every Tuesday at 9:05 a.m. for future shows, and we will look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care,
Thanks so
Vicki,
much.
and take care of everyone else as well.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.